Welcome to Dancin Moon Songcast. I'm Scott Simpson, casting from Dancin Moon Studio in Spearfish Canyon on the north end of the Black Hills of South Dakota, right on the banks of the Spearfish Creek. If you'd like to follow along, you can download a free PDF from my lyric book from scottsimpsonmusic.com/lyrics, and of course you can find links to all my music there as well. So let's get casting and find out what song we're going to talk about this time. Well, on this episode this week, we're going to go back to my third album ever, and it was a little EP called Grace. And we're going to be listening to a song about my grandma, my dad's mom, Selma Simpson. This song is called Selma Sundays. We'll take a listen to it and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Well, Selma sang on Sunday, stayed up to reach the high. She sang about amazing grace and them angels from the sky. Oh, them angels from the sky. In the car she sang to me, oh, A-chewin on a gum. Love you a bushel and a peck, she'd sing. Oh yeah, but my Papaw, he just hum. Oh, my Papaw, he just hum. Need another Selma Sunday afternoon. Need another Selma Sunday afternoon. Need some sweet potato, buttermilk and cornbread and a spoon. Need another Selma Sunday afternoon. Selma Sunday afternoon. The car slid through the spruce and pine, right up to the long church drive. We all knew when we got home we was gonna eat till 4 or 5. When the sun began to slant, them cicadas start to sing. Selma sits in that old lawn chair, yeah, it don't mean a thing. No, it don't have to mean a thing. Oh, she just wanna sing. La 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 la. La 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 la. We need another Selma Sunday afternoon. We need another Selma Sunday afternoon. We need some sweet potato, buttermilk and cornbread and a spoon. We need another Selma Sunday afternoon. Selma Sunday afternoon. Oh, she just wanna sing. Na 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 na.
Selma Sundays from 2002's Grace EP. Song about my grandma, which I should actually say my momo. That's what I called her from as early as I can remember. Momo Simpson. Her first name was Selma, and she was, of course, married to my Papaw, and he was Lyndall Simpson, and they lived their entire lives, entire married life. They're in El Dorado, Arkansas, southern Arkansas. Down in the pines. You drive down to their place and drive through lots and lots of tall pines, and it was like you were in a tunnel driving down the road with all these huge pines all around. And that's where I think that song, it's where the first time I heard it, that song, in the pines, where the sun never shines. But this song is part of that Grace EP. As I said, my third album, composed in 2002, and actually not released for a number of years later. I released it digitally. It was never released on a CD or anything until years later when I pulled it up, pulled up all the tracks, remastered. It was actually a full album because it also included some covers of some hymns that I opted not to include on the album once I finally released it because, it would have involved probably paying some royalties and things like that. So I included just the songs that were originals, which made a good EP once I finally released it. But to talk about the album, I affectionately call it alt gospel. The whole album is very churchy. It's really about growing up in a church, growing up in that culture of church, specifically a fairly southern brand of church. Even though I grew up in Nebraska, we were kind of it was kind of a transplanted thing into the Midwest, and the song ends there a cappella, just vocal, and that really is a send up to my tradition. We were an a cappella church. We for various reasons. Primarily the fact that the New Testament Christians didn't apparently use instruments. At least there's nothing in Scripture about it. My tradition had chosen to not have any instruments during worship. So then when here I am making an album that's all churchy, but I'm using lots of instruments. So I felt like I needed to end the song a cappella. I started it with an organ because that puts us in the churchy mood, even though an organ would never have been played in my mama's church or in the churches that I went to when I was growing up. But that's beside the point. The song is about a feeling that I got when I was little, a feeling that I got from my Mama Simpson, a feeling that I got from El Dorado, Arkansas, a warm, relaxed, just kind of let life wash over you kind of feeling, especially on Sundays. especially on Sundays when it's just kind of relaxed. There's not a whole lot you need to do, not a whole lot you got to do. You're going to get up, you're going to go to church, and you're going to have some big lunch after that, and then you're going to relax, and you're going to sit around. And so that's kind of the feeling, Selma Sundays. Just that relaxed feeling. Now, I got to be honest, not all Sundays in my life have felt that way. I as a teacher, which I was most of my professional career, and I still am an educator, but of a different sort. I tended to get those Sunday night blues, I got to get up and, oh man, am I ready for Monday? Is this all together? Do I have this together? Do I know what I'm doing? Have I gotten everything graded that needed to be graded? Have I got all the plans made that need to be made? What kind of mood are they going to be like in when they come? So that Sunday night blues, and I know it's not just teachers who get that, but it's a lot of folks who have to wrap up a weekend and enter into a work week. And the Sunday night blues, that's really rough. And then because for so much of my life, I was so incredibly involved in church stuff, which was not entirely bad, but it also made for a really busy Sunday. Sunday wasn't very relaxed quite often. There was a whole lot of, we had church in the morning, we had church in the evening. Sometimes we had small group church that we had to meet with. And then there were other times there were like you needed to eat lunch with these people and those people because that's kind of an important thing to do. And then you had, so all of this busy church stuff. And plus I got to try to get some sleep because tomorrow morning I got to get up and be ready for my students, and et cetera, et cetera. Sundays weren't always all that relaxed. But when I was a kid and we would go, we lived in Nebraska, but we would drive down to Arkansas. Both sets of grandparents lived in Arkansas. Mama and Papaw Simpson lived in El Dorado, Arkansas, and Mama and Papaw Stockburger lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas, up in the northern part, in the Ozarks. But it was always just relax, especially in El Dorado. Just sit around, just relax. And the thing was, coming from Nebraska, even though Nebraska was hot in the summer, El Dorado had a different feel. It had a almost tropical feel. We were getting down there close to the Gulf. There were all these pines around, but the soil was really sandy. And I remember they had all these little tiny the smallest frogs you've ever seen. They were just little tiny, not even an inch long frogs. And they were all over the yard, and it was just amazing to me. It was like magic. Okay. And then Mama Simpson and Papaw Simpson were there, and we had different kinds of food and just all kinds of stuff. So we'll get into the song, talk a little bit about the song, and then call it an episode. First verse. Selma sang on Sunday, slid up to reach the highs. She sang about amazing grace and angels from the sky. So, growing up in a church like I did that was a cappella, you noticed everybody's voices because there weren't any instruments kind of overriding anything. So you just heard all the people, and you noticed, and you figure out how your grandma sings and how your grandpa sings, how your mom and dad sing, and you figure out what am I going to sing when I get a little older and my voice develops. Am I going to be a bass? Am I going to be a tenor? And you listen to harmonies, and you listen to all these things. And I just remember my grandma's voice because she would always sing out, and she had a lovely kind of grandma hymn singing voice. My grandpa Simpson, I don't remember singing a whole lot. I remember him humming, which comes into the song later, humming a little bit, but I don't remember a lot of singing. I imagine he probably did, but I don't have a bigger memory of that. But my dad, their son, certainly sang. I know his voice really well. He was a tenor, And so a big piece of that Sunday morning thing was being there and singing those hymns. And no matter what part of the country you lived in our tradition, you sang a lot of the same hymns because you usually sang out of the same hymn book. And so you knew all those songs, and I still know them. They're embedded down in my soul and in my gut. So Amazing Grace, Angels from the Sky, all those phrases that come through in those hymns. Next verse, and in the car, she sang to me, A-chewin on her gum. And I remember she made up this song. She was always chewing gum. She would always give me a piece, but she'd give me a half piece. She'd tear it in half and give me a half piece. And she'd be chewing her gum and say, and I remember when I was really little, she made up a song that was, while she chewed her gum, she would sing it, A-chewin and a-chewin and a-chewin. So that was a big thing. And it was just to make me cry, make me laugh and stuff. And then I remember her singing, and I didn't know where this came from until much later in life. I love you, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck. And she used to sing that, which of course is from Guys and Dolls, which when I got to college, I was actually part of a production of Guys and Dolls. So I go, oh, wow, that's like the song my grandma used to sing to me in the car. And Papaw, he'd just hum. It's interesting because my mama was really talkative, telling stories all the time, talking about stuff, reading signs that we'd pass along the way, just talking. Papaw never talked. If he did talk, it was because he had something really important to say, but he just didn't talk very much. He was always very gentle and kind. It wasn't like he was, mean or something. He was really just very quiet, just reserved. And when he opened his mouth and said something, it was really important and it was really great. But he didn't do that very often. He just kind of would sit and listen and smile and listen and smile, had a huge smile. And I think he liked to see, he learned that, of course, from, being married to my mama for all that time. Well, she talked a lot. She talked enough for both of them, plus some. And he just smile and listen. So we get to the chorus. I need another Selma Sunday afternoon. I need another Selma Sunday afternoon. I need some sweet potato, buttermilk, and cornbread in a spoon. I need another Selma Sunday afternoon. So the chorus is really about that relaxed feeling, there's nothing we need to do, there's nothing we need to accomplish. It's warm, it's sunny, it smells tropical. We got little bitty frogs jumping in the grass. We got the big tall pines. And then out of the kitchen, we got some sweet potato, lots of sweet potatoes down there, and okra, of course, but I didn't fit okra into the song. And we had buttermilk and cornbread in a spoon. Now, my dad tells me that's called knockin' old Joe. And I don't know what that means, but I know that every time we were down there, my grandma and my grandpa and my dad would all be knocking old Joe. They would have some cornbread left over, and they'd put it in some buttermilk, and they'd eat it with a spoon out of the glass. And that's called knocking old Joe. And that's a Southern thing. It's an El Dorado thing. And it's just, I just, when I imagine that, when I picture that, them standing there in a doorway talking and knocking old Joe, that's just Mama and Papa Simpson and those memories. So we get down to the next section. The car slid through the spruce and pine, right up to the long church drive. We all knew when we'd get home we were going to eat till 4 or 5. And when the sun begins to slant and the cicadas start to sing, I remember that sound. The cicadas singing out there in the pines. And Selma sits on that old lawn chair, and it don't mean a thing. No, it don't have to mean a thing if you just want to sing La 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 na 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 na. And then we go into la-las. So I think I remember going to church. I remember coming home. I remember as the day got long and the cicadas and you could hear them buzzing out there in the because their house was there and their backyard. It backed right up to all those tall pines, and you could hear the cicadas. And I picture my Momo sitting there, Selma sitting there in a lawn chair in the back patio, and I just, her spirit was someone who just wanted to sing. Just wanted to sing. She loved the church hymns. She loved, bushel and a peck. She loved whatever. She just loved the singing, and she loved to hear us sing. My brother and I perform. We'd sing or we'd do stuff. She loved to hear our family sing. The four of us, we'd work out 4-part harmony on the trip, and we'd sing for them and stuff. She just loved the singing. She just loved the sound. It's just that, immersing yourself in the sound and the music, and not having to make it anything much bigger than that. Okay, she wasn't struggling over the lyrics of the hymns. She wasn't going into deep theological places with the passages of scripture that were embedded in the hymns or anything like that. It was just getting together with your people and making music. Song ends. We need another Selma Sunday afternoon. We need another Selma Sunday afternoon. We need some sweet potato, buttermilk and cornbread and a spoon. We all need another Selma Sunday afternoon. La 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 until the end. And of course we end with that a cappella piece, which was so much fun. My wife, of course, is singing harmonies in there with me. We kind of work together on the harmonies there, on that. And this song, when I first wrote it back in 2001 or so, we actually performed it a couple of times. We were living in Spearfish at the time, and I remember we performed it at the Methodist Church. I don't know, they invited us to come and sing for something, and we performed a few songs, and this was one of them. And it was such a cool thing to sing. So, I think we probably all have these things, with the people, our parents and our grandparents and people in our family that we've known forever and ever, and we've got these memories embedded in us, and they're embedded there with particular feelings and particular smells and particular sensory elements, and that's what this was about. It was trying to capture my grandma and that feeling of Mama Simpson on a Sunday, and that feeling that it gave me. And then saying, boy, how come I can't get a Sunday like that again? How come I can't get back into that place? Maybe the song will help me get there. Maybe the song will help transport me back there. And so that was the song, and it was on this EP with several other churchy songs, alt gospel, we'll call it that. So there we have it, Selma Sundays from 2002's Grace EP. And I want to thank you again for joining me for a little chat through of another song on Dancin Moon Songcast. You can find all my music, all my lyrics, everything else at scottsimpsonmusic.com. You can stream on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, blah, 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 anywhere else you like to stream or purchase as well. I'll mention this one more time. I am super excited here. Coming up August 1st of 2020, I expect that will be the date I will release my newest album that I'm so incredibly excited about, and I'll probably talk more about it in the next few episodes and tell you more about it. But super excited to have some fresh music coming for you very soon. Again, thanks for joining me for Dancin Moon Songcast. We put out a Songcast every Friday, Lord willing. Be well.